To my friends, because it's a couple, PM and EM. I was thinking about the liver cancer. You're probably already familiar with herbal liver cleanses. If the liver cancer is at a later stage, the liver cleanse is just like an appetizer, but it's not going to hurt you. Do a herbal liver cleanse. But you know what ancient wisdom says, right? It says this one won't go out except for with prayer and fasting. Now, you know, if you're on medication, don't just go fasting on us, because you got to check with your doctor. Prayer and fasting. Now, when you start fasting, you know what fasting does, right? Your body starts feeding on all the stuff that shouldn't be there. Anyway, the fasting, your body starts feeding off of stuff that you need to get rid of. It includes cancerous cells. I know a lady that had colon cancer, and she turned to a completely raw food diet. Doctors gave her 6 months to live, but she lived another 40 years because she went to a completely raw food diet.
What we have here are organic mung beans, and we have a half a cup of organic wheat berries, and then we're also going to do some lentils.
Not on a 100% raw food diet, but I am on a health regimen. I do know a lot about fasting, nutritional issues, cleansing, and naturalism, and all kind of things like that, because that's what we practice.
Why did you get interested in cleansing?
Well, I got interested in cleansing because I wasn't healthy. I was having lower back problems. This was about 20 years ago, after the birth of my 3 kids. I would get pimples and break out. I had bloating all the time, and I wasn't regular, and I felt tired all the time, and so I knew that I needed to do something. My back was so bad I could hardly sit down. Somebody had told me that maybe I needed to do a cleanse. That's how I started. I read about the colon cleanse, and I did a lot of research. I've done it every year now for the last 20 years, and it's what keeps me healthy. I haven't been to the doctor since the birth of my 2nd child, because I had my 3rd one at home.
I know I also actually met this older fellow in his 70s that was diagnosed with cancer also, or he was dying or whatever. He went to a totally natural clinic where they cleanse his colon, put him on raw foods. He got out of it. Like I said, this one only goes out with prayer and fasting. What you're doing is you're relying on creation. The problem with us folks that adhere to ancient wisdom is we have a preconceived notion of how to do things. It's like the story of the centurion. I'll continue this in a minute.
I committed myself to a lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle, and the cleanses are a cornerstone of that lifestyle, because I too was getting sick more often than I really would have liked to. And this was also around 15, 18 years ago, when I was a much younger man. But yet I still was getting, it seemed like, mucus in my throat, sinus colds, and I know that some people think that's just normal, but I haven't had one of those in like over a decade. So
we don't get sick.
The way people are traditionally used to thinking they naturally put barriers around themselves just because of the way that they're traditionally used to thinking. Which brings me to the centurion that had a sickness, a disease. The centurion, back in the old Roman days, a servant, which was, the servant, right? Was telling him, well, what you should do, Master, you need to do this. You need to go take this mud bath to get rid of these skin lesions. And of course the centurion would have nothing of it because, hey, you're just a servant. You're telling me what to do? I got doctors and stuff. The servant had to tell him 3 or 4 times, you really need to do this, Master, what they called him back then. He finally did it and he got cured of the lesions. The point is that we have these mental blocks for one reason or another because of our traditional way of thinking. We need to kind of go outside of that and realize that, look, God created our bodies to heal themselves. All we need to do is facilitate that healing. I'm not saying that in an emergency somebody with more knowledge like a doctor can't come in and help you, like in certain circumstances. But you could work with a doctor and start on these other aspects of healing, or go 100% totally natural healing.
I am always very healthy, and all you need to have is 2 simple ingredients for the psyllium husk cleanse: black strap molasses, unsulfured, and the whole psyllium husks.
It's important that you mentioned that we did it together because it was so nice to be able to be going through that with you, and I just loved to be able to encourage you as we were doing it, and you encouraged me and I encouraged you, so we encouraged one another. And that's great if you can do that together, because I think one of the hardest things is to be doing something like this and you're the only one in the house, and
I also ran into this lady over there in South Carolina that was telling me about her medical problems. A lot of times you have the solution, you know what it is, but just like the servant of the centurion, you can't get through to the person because they themselves have erected barriers. They were believers, but there was a certain amount of non-belief in the creation aspect. And she didn't have advanced cancer. See, she had some ill health that could have been restored with proper natural health practices. But she would have none of it, just such a strong non-belief. She wouldn't accept it at all. I think a lot of you know that all 3 of our sons were homeschooled. They were homeschooled, and that was like 25, 30 years ago. And they were also subject to natural remedies also growing up. When the mainstream children get an earache, they run to the doctor. And most people don't know that raw garlic is natural antibiotic is raw garlic, right? So what you can do is you can squeeze the raw garlic, mix it with a little warm olive oil for viscosity, and rub it on in the ear gently. And we actually did this to our sons when they were 5, 6 years old with an earache, and the earache went away. So one day I was in this lady's house, and her son had a desperate earache, and I happened to be performing a service in her house, so she was trying to rush me so she could get to the doctor. So all I was trying to do was help her, since she was in a rush, and I was impeding her trip to the doctor. And I felt like I had a responsibility to say, well, look, you could do this, you could do the garlic. And she just screeched. She screeched like as if she was talking to a warlock or some kind of thing like that. So, and again, these were people, believers. So I'm just saying, a lot of times people put up their own barriers. Let God do the work. Peace.